Bloodline. I mean, we've been going Bloodline for like 3 years now, and I would have said to you after year one, please end it now. God, put it out of its misery, and it's still here, and it's still fantastic.
Yep.
Paul Heyman famously said, like, last year they were like in inning 3 of this chapter. Chances are they're probably inning 5 or 6 now, but they still got a few innings left. Where do we go with Bloodline? Like, where does this go? Triple H also said in the press conference after the event that the next chapter of Roman Reigns' story will blow people's minds. I know at some point they're going to make him a good guy.
Yeah.
Every great bad guy becomes an even better good guy, and that's going to happen at some point. But where do you see the Bloodline going? Where do you think that this storyline goes in the next 6 months?
I think it's time for the inevitable crumble. Like, really, this was, with Roman losing the title that had meant so much to the Bloodline, kind of his keys to the kingdom, his claim to being, the guy. I think, that now we start to see, kind of Solo. It's been, even during the match, you see Solo kind of yelling at Roman to finish him. Like Solo could be kind of like fed up with not getting the results. Solo could kind of be, hyping himself up as like, well, if he can't get it done, I'm gonna get it done, and kind of overstepping his bounds. That could lead to tension with Jimmy. Jay kind of doing his own thing. He's set up to be the number 1 contender now against Damian. It'll be interesting to how that goes. But like down the road, if they're really going to set up Roman and Rock, I totally agree with you that Roman needs to be the good guy in that scenario. Not just because it'd be a more natural fit at this point, which is so hilarious to say. The Rock as a heel at this point in his career is just the way to go. But it really has been. He's been having way too much fun with it.
So good, man.
He's been so good. It really has. Rock doesn't get anything from beating Roman. And if Roman's going to beat The Rock, it makes more sense to make him the babyface. And this is maybe the last chance to establish him as the babyface that they always hoped he would be. Given this run as the tribal chief, there's a lot of history there that they could work in. And, Roman coming out on top as the good guy doesn't have to be, a John Cena level type babyface. It could be the same badass Roman that we used to see in The Shield and we've seen with the tribal chief. Him coming out as a good guy, I think is the end game here. But seeing Roman just a shell of himself for a few months, kind of doubting himself, I think that'd be a fun evolution of where this storyline goes. It'll probably do a lot for Solo, and if apparently WWE has signed Jacob Fatu, he can kind of get worked into this as well. Who knows? That's an X factor that can maybe show up in the draft or down the line. There's a lot of directions they can go with it. So there's a lot of intrigue that could happen. That just because Roman lost the belt doesn't mean the storyline's over, not by any means.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting how to do it because with Roman, you almost got to plan out 6 months a year because he's probably going to take at least 2-3 months off before we see him again.
Yeah.
And I think you nailed in one direction I'm going, that Jacob Fatu, because I feel I can see this very much in some ways becoming NWO Hollywood versus Wolfpack. And I can see the next progression is Bloodline gets bigger, but it gets split. Because you got Jacob Fatu coming in. Let's not forget Tama Tonga's signed too. If you mentioned it earlier, who's the real tribal chief?
Right.
Maybe Rock is trying to say, hey, I beat Cody, even though Cody was done. He just picked the bones. Like, I beat Cody, you couldn't beat him. You need all my help. Like, I can see that, although with Rock, again, timing, other things, you can't do it on a weekly basis like you would really love, but I can see that where it's going. Like, you have Rock with his bloodline, you have Jacob Fatu, you have a Tama Tonga, you have, I can see Solo being the one who leaves. And we all know it's going to be great, and we all want to see the Usos get back together. So the Usos getting back together, and big picture, and I told the wife about this too. Big picture, you have this bad guy bloodline team. You got Roman. He gets reunited with the Usos reunited. And it's Sami Zayn. If you get Roman, the Usos, and Sami Zayn all back together as good guys, oh my lord. Because people freaking love them as bad guys.
Yeah. What
is it going to be like if they're good guys and it's also Roman's like showing love to Sami? I really appreciated your friendship. I'm sorry what happened. Like that would set... It would be a perfect kind of storyline the last few months going into WrestleMania, and I would love to see that because that's like how much more can we do? The Usos broke up. Solo will probably leave. Yeah. Sammy was in, he left. Roman, you can do but so much. The only thing I can see is you grow but break it up.
Yeah, that would be such a great use of the goodwill they built up together. It really would. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
down the line,
You gotta revisit Sammy and Roman. You gotta.
yeah, and that this might be where War Games ends up. Those four on one side, and Jacob Fatu,
Yeah.
Solo, Tamatanga, and a fourth X member
Yeah.
on the other side. That could
That's a
be,
great idea.
yeah, that could work for Survivor Series, and they got plenty of time to build it up. So